guys, what's up? It's Joe Rady from Rady's Rides. We're back at it again, and guess what? I have something mean, lean, and definitely green. It's this vehicle here. This is it. This is a 2023 Alfa Romeo. This being a Stelvio because it's their SUV, but guess what? This is packing tons of extra performance because we have the Stelvio Quadrifoglio. But before we get into this all-wheel drive, twin turbocharged powerhouse, let's talk about what's going on here. Alfa Romeo, they've been doing the business for decades when it comes to exotic Italian, not only design, but also engineering. Now, a lot of people, when you hear Italian car company, you automatically think Ferrari. Well, guess what? Alfa Romeo, very iconic, very legendary. They also have done a lot of racing, especially in Grand Prix racing, and have won a lot of races and a lot of championships. Now, over the years, it's been sort of hit or miss for Alfa Romeo here in the United States. I loved the Alfa Romeo 4C that came about in 2016. Carbon fiber tub, small, light, really a driver's car. That car no longer exists here in the United States. But what we do have is the Giulia, which is their sedan, the Stelvio, which is their SUV, and the new upcoming Tonale, which is their subcompact crossover SUV. But what I want to find out is this Stelvio Quadrifoglio, if you're craving, if you're yearning for performance and also having the usability of an SUV, is this the best one to buy? Or is it better than one in particular? You know which one I'm thinking about? The one that I drove just a few short months ago, the Porsche Macan GTS. So let's go ahead, let's dive into the Stelvio Quadrifoglio and see, is it the best new performance SUV over the Macan GTS? Let's go ahead and find out. Right off the bat, the color. It really is captivating. It looks like something that the Wizard of Oz would drive, and I mean that in a very good way. It's called Verde Montreal. It's an optional color, and guess what? It costs an additional $2,200. Now, at the front of the business, you're still getting that same overall design. And that may be a good thing or a bad thing, depending on your taste. It's in need of a redesign, if anything else, a refresh, and I'm kind of sad not to see either of those two things. Now, the headlight housing does have full LED components, headlight, turn signals, and daytime running lamp, but like I said, just has a dated look, and I'm gonna have to zonk the chrome finish in there. Not very sporty, especially for this performance SUV. I'm loving the color. The color, I'm telling you, I was walking out of my house one morning, I went to go put something in the mailbox, I literally stopped in my tracks and I lost about 30 minutes of my day just staring at this car. It like possessed me. And then I finally made it to the mailbox. But as we continue, you'll notice this large rectangular vent. This is gonna help bring cool air on the corner vent areas for those heat exchangers. I love the way they work the splitter into the lower front fascia. As you move inward, you have more flat black and more functionality. And then when we get top dead center, what do we got going on here? We have, of course, that amazing badge, that iconic emblem from Alfa Romeo. Of course, you're also gonna get the traditional triangular grille. No other brand vehicle has a grille like this, fully functional. This would have been nice if it had the carbon fiber, but I know it's an option, but wait until you hear the price of this particular one. It should have its standard. This you could get in carbon fiber. It's in this almost like a smoked metallic black finish, which isn't bad, but you know what I mean. Like the carbon fiber would have just helped set it off. More functionality in the center, but definitely a very aggressive, eye-catching look, and of course that color. Now when we get up onto the low-slung hood, you'll notice that we have these fish gill heat extractors. That's what I love about Italian car companies, is that not only do they make them functional, but it's also the form. Very, very seductive in how they place them, and really shows that performance direction that this vehicle is going in. Now, as we go around the bend, what are we working with? Wheel and tire setup. So up front, you're getting these 20-inch wheels, 21-inch wheels. These are the optional wheels. Standard is 20-inch. These are optional. I love that sort of rotary phone dial design to it. You got your 6-piston Brembo caliper with the Alfa Romeo script on it. Massive rotors that are cross-drilled, 2-piece, and fully ventilated. And then of course the suspension at all 4 corners are adaptive, and they've been tuned to give you that good feeling when you're going through the twisty bits. Or guess what? You could even do a track day with this vehicle and maybe show up some sports cars. But I love that metallic gunmetal gray finish. Another thing I love is you get a nice little fender flare action that is painted all the way around. And if you're wondering, well, Joe, what's the size of these Pirelli P0s up front? They're 255 on the width, 40 series sidewall, but wait until we get to the rears because they get even wider. Now, as we go down the side, you have the 4-leaf clover. That's what quadrifoglio means in Italian, is 4-leaf clover. That goes back to their Grand Prix days. One of their drivers wasn't doing very well, found a 4-leaf clover, put it under his helmet, won the race, and from that moment on, that's why a 4-leaf clover is always on a performance Alfa Romeo. We have power folding mirrors painted in that beautiful Verde Montreal with the LED lighting. I like the way they just went black around the window treatment and on the roof rails, color matched on the door handles, and you do have a flat black side sill extension that extends down to give you that extra aero. Now out back, I'm gonna have Steven kind of show you just how much wider the fender flare is at the rear of the vehicle, and what you're looking at on these 21-inch wheels is 285. So even though this has all-wheel drive, it could send most of the power to the rear and really make this behave like a rear-wheel drive vehicle. So we're gonna have more rubber to meet the road. You can still see we have the beefy brakes with the Alfa Romeo name. And let me know what you think about the wheels. I know not everybody loves these. I tend to think that they look wild. They kind of remind me of back to the 80s when Lamborghini used to have on their Countach the rotary dial wheels, or even on Porsche 944s and 928s. But let me know what you think about the wheels, if they should be zonked. I'm digging them. Now, as we swing around way back, you can see the back side of that fender flare, showing that performance orientation. Low roof spoiler. I wish they would have extended it off the rear glass so that we could get rid of this guy. So technically I'm gonna zonk it, but I understand why the wiper is not underneath, because there's no room here. You gotta extend it out, but I love the wide rear end. LED lighting, the Stelvio badge. I feel like this should be in gloss black. There's that Alfa Romeo badge in the center. Q4, what does that mean? That means we have that all-wheel drive, and then dropping it all the way down, check out the exhaust. You got staggered tips, quad tip, 2 tips on each side. We do have functionality in the venting here in the center. You got that diffuser, and there's the other side of the exhaust. If you're comparing this to the Porsche Macan that we drove, this definitely looks more aggressive. But why don't we go ahead, let's pop the hood and talk horsepower of this Stelvio Quadrifoglio. All right guys, we do have the hood open. You do have hood struts to hold open the hood. You can see that functionality from the heat extractors on the back side of the hood. And then as we tilt down, check out the massive strut tower brace that they put to stiffen up the front end of the Stelvio. And then I'm also digging the engine cover. Nice with the Quadrifoglio badge. It lets you know it's a 90-degree V6. You got your twin throttle bodies. But let's talk about power. It's a 2.9 liter twin turbo V6 that puts out 505 horsepower, 443 pound-feet of torque. It does utilize an 8-speed, a ZF 8-speed automatic transmission, 0 to 60 in 3.2 seconds, quarter mile in 11.8 at 116 miles an hour, and this SUV has a top speed of 176 miles per hour. The vehicle weighs 4,309 pounds, and those rotors that I showed you earlier up front are 15.4 inches in diameter. So definitely I like the style that they brought underneath the hood. Very unique with how the Macan also has a twin turbo V6, just like this vehicle does. But why don't we go ahead, let's fire it up and hear what it sounds like. right, guys, we're inside this 2023 Alfa Romeo Stelvio Quadrifoglio. I know you're saying to yourself, well, Joe, it's funny that you bring this topic up because I'm actually thinking about getting a Stelvio Quadrifoglio or getting a Macan GTS, but I don't know what to do. What's the price? Very good question. So both of these vehicles are going to be pretty close in price. This one, the way that it's optioned with the paint job and everything else, has an MSRP of $92,000. The Macan GTS is going to be a little bit more, but do you get a lot more for the price? Why don't we go ahead, let's see what you get for the money in this Stelvio Quadrifoglio. To the door panels. I love the leather stitching up top. The carbon fiber is really great. Other than that, you're going to notice some Dodge Chrysler switches. For example, the door locks. That's right out of a Chrysler product. I do like the door handle though, with the nice aluminum silver finish. You have the Harman Kardon sound system with that speaker cover in the center of the door panel. The rest of the door panel feels very Dodge. You do have contrast stitching, soft armrests, and a pretty good size door pocket where you could at least get a 6-inch meatball sub with some extra parm from Subway and a bottle of Italian Coca-Cola to wash it down. Now going from the door panel to the dash, more of that great leather, more of the stitching, more of the carbon fiber. Soft touch material, which is nice. Coming to the center area, this is where it gets a little rough. So 8.8-inch system, it uses the older TomTom operating software, not my favorite, but you do have your navigation and it is a touchscreen. It's a little slow to respond, and you could get into your climate, you could get into your performance pages, vehicle information. I'm going to go to performance pages because I want to show you these gauges. This is cool. You got your oil pressure, boost gauge, torque gauge readout. I don't know what the purpose of that is really. It should be oil temperature. Pressure, temperature would have been nice. Let me show you the backup camera. It makes me cry every time I look at it. You're going to need your Alfa Romeo Stelvio Quadrifoglio magnifying glass to be able to successfully use this, but for $92,000, that's a major zonk. It looks much clearer in the Macan GTS, and there's no 360-degree camera, which is shocking at this price point as well. To go home, I'm just going to hit home, or you could X out of it, and there you go. You're right back to where you started. Working your way down, AC vents, like I said, very Dodge Charger-esque. AC controls, same thing. You do have a USB-A, a 12-volt, and somebody decided to spill carbon fiber everywhere in here, a whole bucket of it. Slide this open, we got our 2 cup holders, and you do get a pretty cool key fob. I mean, it's as big as an old Samsung flip phone, but it is pretty cool looking, and I love the way it's got the Alfa Romeo script there and remote start, which is a nice touch. And we got the official Alfa Romeo keychain as well. Or I should say fob chain, since this is a key fob. Close that up. This little guy here, this is going to control your 8-speed automatic. I do like the way it's got leather stitching, the tricolore, the Italian colors. Mi Familia Italiano, nicely done. Volume knob, you got your direct drive control knob. This is my favorite one right here. This is where you could go into your different modes. You know us, we're gonna go, you gotta hold it, full race mode. And I'm gonna have Steven show the screen again. This is probably the coolest thing you're gonna see on the screen besides the gauges. So there's D, there's N, there's A. But my favorite and your favorite is, get ready for it, race. I like the graphics there. Other than that, the performance gauges are cool. Not really loving anything else about that infotainment. I do have wireless charging, which is great. And you just drop it in to this hole right here. Not very soft armrest, but I do like the stitching. Open it up. You could easily put 3 cannolis, a USB-C, a USB-A, and an aux jack. And then the seats. Definitely scream, I'm Italian. You got your Alfa Romeo badge, the stitching, perforating the center, bolstered. They are heated, and you do have power seats for the passenger and the driver. The bad news is, and the zonk, is that there's no ventilated seats. And at $92,000, that's a tough pill to swallow. And then of course we do have our power shade on our panoramic sunroof. But we're gonna go ahead and keep that closed because I don't have ventilated seats and I'm already sweating. But why don't you come over to the business end? I do want to show you behind the wheel of this race car-esque steering wheel in the Stelvio Quadrifoglio. All right guys, business time. Behind the wheel, you do get 3 memory seat settings for the driver's side. So if you are lucky enough to have 2 other friends, maybe you'll let them borrow your Stelvio Quadrifoglio. I wouldn't, but maybe you would. Down below on the sill, you do have a small aluminum sill plate with the 4-leaf clover, pedal box straight out of a race car. Nice aluminum dead pedal, brake pedal, and throttle. Seat controls, they're easy to get to, but guess what? They feel like they're right out of a Dodge Charger. Not lying on that one. Seats are definitely not out of a Dodge Charger. Side bolstering is great. They're a little on the firm side, but I think that's an Italian thing, to be honest with you, when it comes to interior seats. Steering wheel though, this is race car all day long. The leather, the Alcantara material, carbon fiber with the Quadrifoglio, that perfect Alfa Romeo badge. You got your start-stop button located right on the steering wheel, flat black on all the switchgear, and then you have these Italian surfboards for paddles that are bolted to the actual steering column to go up and down the ZF 8-speed automatic transmission. The one zonk is that it's got a manual tilting and telescoping steering wheel. At 92 grand, this should have power. And then the gauge instrumentation. You have a large 7-inch digital display in the center, and then you have an analog tach and speedometer flanking that. Let me know how you feel about that. I actually like the analog gauges. I wish they would get rid of the digital gauge, to be honest with you. But the one thing you're gonna notice that this does not have, which I noticed right away, no head-up display. And it would be nice as you're rocketing through the rev range and hitting these paddles to not have to look down at the tech to make sure you're in the sweet spot. It would be nice to have a head-up display, but I got plenty of headroom, which is fantastic. Let's get into the back seat and see if your passengers are gonna enjoy barfing back there as you're going through the twisty bits of your favorite road. Let's go check it out. All right guys, back seat time in this Stelvio Quadrifoglio. It's a little tight, but the good news is you got plenty of headroom with that nice large panoramic sunroof. It feels about the same as what you would find in a Macan GTS. Now, the backs of the seats, you do have the leather. You get plastic though, and that's a zonk, especially on a $92,000 vehicle. And you get those cargo nets, which is also a zonk. Can't put daggers or knives or throwing stars back there. If you do, they'll rip right through this and then fall and maybe cut your passengers, and then you'll have a big bloody mess back here as you're going through the twisty bits. That doesn't sound like a good time to me. You do have a little bit of a command center with these eyeball styled AC vents. Here's looking at you. You do have 3 stages of heated seats, USB A's, and a little place down here for some atomic fireballs. I'm sitting pretty good. Like I said, these Italian seats, I think that's just a thing, that they're not as comfy as you want them to be. But pull this guy down. I was gonna say it's soft, but basically it feels like they took a stale piece of Italian bread and then wrapped it in leather, because it's not soft at all. 2 cup holders, but you do have an armrest, place to rest your arm. Flip it back. Why don't we go ahead, let's get in the cargo area, because I want to see how much pasta we could haul in this Stelvio Quadrifoglio. It's time to get into the cargo area, and that's what's great about this vehicle, is that it could be that support vehicle for your next track day to bring all the goodies, or you could just say the hell with it and bring all your goodies and use this as the track vehicle rather than the support vehicle. Now, I'm gonna have Steven kind of swing all the way around just because of the sun effects. Hit the button, nice electric assist. What do we got going on here? You're gonna be greeted to a ton of cargo room. Nice and wide. You'll notice on the driver's side, you do have a subwoofer for that Harman Kardon sound system. And you do have up top on the driver's side, the handles to fold down the seats, and there's a 12 volt there. So they got you covered when it comes to usability and space. If you need more room, fold the seats down, and there's the required little nook for your box of Twinkies. I'm telling you right now, never do a track day without your Twinkies. Not just for you, but also for the people that you beat. They're gonna be sad, you're gonna wanna give them something to kind of munch on to make themselves feel better. And me being Italian and this car being Italian, that's how it is. When you're happy, you eat. When you're sad, you eat. And when you're angry, you eat. But why don't we go ahead, let's go on throttle and see how this Alfa Romeo Stelvio Quadrifoglio eats up the asphalt. Let's go do it. All right, guys, we're inside this 2023 Alfa Romeo Stelvio Quadrifoglio. I got it in manual shift mode. We are in race and we're gonna go on throttle in this twin turbocharged all-wheel drive beast. If you're ready, I'm ready. On throttle, yeah! Woo! Nice. Love the sound of that V6. Fast shifts from the ZF 8-speed. Yeah! That all-wheel drive doing the business. Nice balance. And then it fires you like a rocket. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So smooth, so quick. What I could tell you right away is that the seats, they hold you in very nicely with the bolstering. Not too tight though. Steering input is spot on the money. And I just love the layout of the instrumentation. I am definitely missing a head-up display. But we're gonna use the paddles again and we're gonna rock and roll together. If you're ready, I'm ready. On throttle, here we go. Nice. Yeah. I love the way you could use the rear end of the car to steer, even though it's all-wheel drive. Brakes feel good. Nice. Yeah! Alright guys, I moved the camera around just to give you a little different view. I'm gonna slow down using the paddles in race mode, second gear. On throttle, here we go. So really, that's what you're paying for in this vehicle. You're not paying for the interior switchgear. You're not paying for the seat material. You're really paying for the experience. And that's one thing that is very unique with this car is the type of experience that you're gonna get driving an Alfa Romeo Stelvio Quadrifoglio. Not just from the sound, but also from the passion of the brand and the way that it looks. All right, guys, one of the things that it comes to with the driving experience on the interior is everything is well laid out. It's just very dated. And like I said, there's a lot of parts that are sourced from other Stellantis branded vehicles like Dodge. And that's where you're gonna notice those touches and you gotta say to yourself, well, I'm paying $92,000. So am I expecting more than what is being offered? But let's go on throttle again. Second gear, on throttle, on the brakes. I'm telling you, this thing is a beast. When it comes to on throttle, it is a beast. Love the sound out the exhaust. Really holds the line well. And that's the whole thing about this SUV, is that it is one that is really gonna move you. When I say move you, 0 to 60 in about 3.2 seconds, that's pretty insane. That's where the money you're spending, that's where it's going to. The steering wheel is such a thing, a beauty, not only to hold on to, but also just to look at, especially with the carbon fiber and the start-stop button on the screen. The gauges, to me, I like the analog. I could do without the digital in the center, to be honest with you. and it's the sound that you're hearing inside. And it's interesting because they do a pretty good job of allowing you to hear the good sounds and eliminate the not so good sounds. But that exhaust is worth the price of emission. The pops, the bangs. You just gotta make sure that you're very, very astute with where you're shifting. You really don't wanna run this engine all the way to redline. The engine and the transmission don't really love to do that together, running it so far into the redline. But let's go from a dead stop again. On throttle, here we go. Wow, 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 wow. That's where it comes into play. And this thing really stirs your soul. It is intense. Now in race mode, the suspension is on the harsher side. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put it into D mode, which is gonna be more like a sport mode, and get out onto the highway. And to be honest with you, it's still a little bumpy, but it's not too bad, which is good. But like I said, you still have other options. You could go all the way and really adjust that suspension, adjust everything to where it offers a pretty comfortable driving experience on the highway. I love the surfboard style paddles, especially the fact that they're made out of metal. And the seats hold you in place really, really well. But like I said, at the end of the day, the TomTom system, that's definitely dated. Everywhere you're looking in here, you could see where those Stellantis priced items are from the other parts bins. I mean, there's only so much hiding you could do. But it's still one hell of a performance SUV at the end of the day. But we're gonna go ahead. Hopefully you've enjoyed a little bit of everything with the driving action in this Stelvio Quadrifoglio. We're gonna get back and wrap it up. So I'll see you in a split second. All right guys, boy oh boy, it's been one heck of a pasta pack performance SUV kind of day with this Stelvio Quadrifoglio. I gotta thank everybody at Alfa Romeo and Stellantis for allowing us access to this press fleet vehicle. Let me know what you think. How do you want your performance SUV? Do you think that this brings enough for the money with the Stelvio Quadrifoglio, or would you rather go Porsche perfection with the Macan GTS? Let me know in that comment section. But if you're new to the channel and you're on your way out, hit that subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile coming back for more. If you are a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Radies Rides family. Of course, we got to give it up to Stephen Flood Photography, working that camera like a champ. Show him some love in that comment section. Thank you, Stephen, for all that you do. And just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.